Hey there, Dango Stu here, just with another quick tip for you. This isn't so much a tip, I guess, as just something to be aware of as a possibility if you have these symptoms on an outboard that won't run. Now, this particular one came in a bit of an unknown history, came together in pieces, and we put some new plugs in, good compression, clean fuel, redid the lines, all that kind of stuff, but it wouldn't start at all. And occasionally it would backfire, which is a bit of an indication that the timing's out. Now, because it's a two-stroke, it can't really be a timing belt or a timing chain that's out, and the linkages to adjust the idle timing and the full timing, they don't have enough travel for it to really be so far out that it won't run at all. What this then makes you start thinking is that the woodruff key on the flywheel has slipped, so the flywheel's no longer in the correct position on the crankshaft. This seems even more likely given there was mention of this motor having seized in the past. So if the motor seizes and then you crank the starter motor, you're trying to rotate the flywheel, but the crankshaft itself won't turn, and that is a good candidate for stripping the woodruff key. So put a puller on the flywheel, took that off, and I'll show you. This is the woodruff key in here, and you can see it doesn't even protrude from the crankshaft at all anymore, which means that flywheel was free to rotate and therefore be completely out of time with the crankshaft itself. So it's really important that that flywheel only goes in one position. That position is normally dictated by this woodruff key, but once that's gone, all bets are off and your timing's all over the shop. So that's why this one wasn't running. On this side, and that's all that's left of the woodruff key. So I'll see what I can find to replace it, otherwise I might have to order one from Mercury. So here's a set of replacements. I'm just going to find something that's roughly the right width. Let's have a look. A bit too wide. Alright, this one's not too bad. It's the correct width, and it protrudes enough to stop the flywheel turning. I will order the correct one because unfortunately this set of woodruff keys aren't stainless, which isn't great in a boat. So the slot in the flywheel is the other part of the equation. It doesn't look too bad either, but once a flywheel like this starts spinning, you start to see these score marks here where it's been rotating on the shaft. So I think it's yet to be seen whether this is good enough to put back into service as it is. I'll give it a bit of a clean up and I'll check. If we look here at the flywheel side, you can see here down in the groove was the other half of the woodruff key. So once it had sheared, nothing stopped that flywheel rotating on the shaft and the timing being way out. So we'll pop a new one in and see if it fires up. As another little kind of quick tip inside a quick tip, woodruff keys can be pretty tricky to get them to stay in while you put the flywheel on, so I'll just put a dab of grease on it and use that as kind of almost a glue just to hold it in place. Now this woodruff key is not the exact right one, but did seem a pretty tight fit on the crankshaft. But if you rotate the flywheel, I don't know if it's going to show up on film like this, but hopefully you can see there's a little bit of movement or a bit of play where the flywheel turns and then starts to bring the crankshaft around, and that's not good. That's a minor but still a timing error you're going to have, and it's only going to get worse because once this movement, it'll start to flog out even faster. So I might have to get a new, I think you can actually just get a new little sleeve pressed into the flywheel, or we may have to replace the flywheel. So that wraps up today's quick tip. It's not a common problem to have, but it is one of those situations where if you find yourself you've got good fuel coming through, in this case we could spray like error start your bastard type stuff into the carburetors, still no run, so we knew it wasn't a fuel problem. You could see there was good spark on all 3 spark plugs. We knew we had compression. The only thing missing then was timing, and the backfire was a good clue to it. And if it's a 2-stroke, the only thing that can affect the timing is the position of the flywheel on the crankshaft, and the only thing that keeps that in position is that woodruff key that it's sheared. So if you sort of follow that logic, you can take yourself straight to a problem that otherwise can be really frustrating to diagnose.